Need just a few more seconds. And the meeting is yours, Mr. Green. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 7:30 PM. We'll have call to the public for agenda and non-agenda items as the first thing on the agenda. Anyone from the public?
Yeah, anyone that has called in on the telephone line, if you would like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad, and that will alert us that you would like to make a comment, and we will call on you and have you unmute your line. Again, if you would like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad. Seeing no hands raised at this time, Mr. Green?
Right. So we move on to the consent agenda.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Discussion?
I had one question about audit extra services. There's $5,000 billed out 101-202-901-101 audit extra services, $5,000. Just give me a little background about it.
Some of that has to do with Jeff Romberg doing some things for us. He's the one that does our salary study stuff.
Uh-huh.
And we may be using him for a couple of the budget meetings. So I had to make sure there was money in the account to cover that.
So that was one of my, sorry, go ahead,
go ahead.
Randy.
I'm going to say, so we aren't actually, we're not expending this money now. We're just putting it into this account against the potential for using it in the future.
Yes.
All right. That makes it a little more clear. When it comes time that we actually spend the money, then how are we going to get notified?
It'll be on your revenues and expenses year-to-date report.
Okay, and it will come up as Jeff Romberg, just so I can look for it. I make a note to look for it.
It's Romberg
Okay.
something.
It's Stover, Romberg and Stover, and it would be in your monthly list of bills.
All right. Okay, that's good for me. Oh, no, it isn't. I just want, this is just a side one. It says update computer system $5,000 and update computers fire $1,000. Can you give me just a little more on that one?
We've gone over our budgeted amount and took it out of the contingency because we bought those laptops.
So it says update computer system. This is the purchase of laptops?
Yes.
Okay.
These questions I wish would be called during the day because Lori has all those records and I don't have
All right.
it in front of me.
Randy, you're
Well-
looking at last month's budget adjustments that were approved last month.
Right. Right. So, okay, I got it. Okay, I'm good.
Well, my question is, Mr. Romberg was contacted, so he's actively looking at the payroll for this year?
Yeah, we have the report.
Because we're going to only be able to start meeting later on in November, which is not going to give us a lot of time.
We're going to be meeting in October for the budget meetings.
Oh, I thought we were waiting after the election. No?
We wouldn't have enough time. There's a lot of things that just need to be done. There might be some last minute things on the budget, but
Okay.
We already have the letter from Jeff Romberg and the updated salary sheet. I'd be happy to scan and send to you ahead of time if you'd like.
You could send it to all of us. That'd be great.
Yeah, no problem.
any other discussion?
That's it for me.
So that means everything tonight is going to be a roll call vote.
Are you ready for the roll call?
Yes, Daryl.
Okay. Mazzara,
Yes.
Wiltsey,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda would be the litigation update. That's page 15 in your packet.
Thanks.
Okay, so if you'll recall, the appeal of the Milford Hills motion for summary is two different appeals that have been consolidated into one case. And we had briefs that were due on that case, well, on both cases. The judge, even though she consolidated the cases for purposes of the appeal proceedings, wanted two different briefs still on the issues. One of those appeals related to governmental immunity, and the other appeal related to all the other claims that were outstanding. So your appeal attorney, filed a brief in support of the township's arguments related to governmental immunity. Milford Hills had never challenged the governmental immunity claims. They didn't timely challenge those claims. So they still haven't responded to this brief that was filed by your appeal attorney. The second brief is due October 29th. Nope, sorry, October 2nd. So we're just in the middle of the process of filing those briefs. Opposing counsel will need to file response briefs to those issues.
Do they have to file a response?
Yes.
But
Well,
they have not
They don't
filed.
have to file a response, but they should. It'd be malpractice if they didn't.
But they have not filed a response yet.
No, but they're timely. They can still file their response. So.
Is the response public record?
Yes. As
Is
soon as
the-
it gets filed, the township will upload it. There's the township has created what do you call it? What's that called, Holly? The Dropbox.
Oh, the Dropbox.
Yeah. So all the pleadings that get filed with the court are put into that Dropbox. So you can go there anytime. One of the ladies can probably send you that link, Bill, if you ever want to look at anything.
Well,
Or
I think
it might even be on the township website.
It's not on the website yet due to its volume.
Yeah.
so. Will it ever be on the website?
I will try. I mean, I got it, last Friday. I just didn't get a chance to try and upload it. I
thought-
understand it's many, many, many hundreds of pages.
I thought the brief she wrote was probably the most concise understanding of all of the events that I've seen to date.
Yeah, she's an excellent attorney.
So I'm
That's
just
great.
wondering, at what point do we have her come in and talk to us? Because I understand that the 3 intentional tort claims are something I'd still like to understand and talk about.
She can come in anytime, Bill. She'll go to a closed session and talk to you about all of these.
I don't know how, I'd like to see how everybody else feels about it. We haven't talked about this claim in quite a while since it's gone really this way. So we have a new attorney involved in it. Maybe it'd be good if we had a brief on where we are, primarily with the whole understanding of the working agreement. Anybody else?
Sounds like a good idea.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yep, I agree.
And maybe by next month, that other brief will be filed. Or they will have filed some kind of responsive brief that she can address. But
And what would be the second brief? How many times do we have to brief it?
so the township had an appeal that it could file by right, and that related to governmental immunity. Then it had to file an application for leave to appeal, and that related to the tort claims. Both of those, the appeal by right automatically goes to the appeal court. The application for leave to appeal, the court can take on those claims for appeal or not. They chose to take on those claims. So both of those different appeals were consolidated into essentially one case for purposes of the proceedings. but the judge still wanted those two
Okay.
appeals to be briefed separately.
Separately.
Yeah. So the brief that she just filed only related to governmental immunity. She is still going to file a brief related to the tort claim.
That sounds good. Maybe, maybe we should go ahead and set that up with her.
Okay,
So October 2nd is intended to be the second brief filing?
Actually, Bill, the brief that she just filed was due October 2nd. She filed it early, but the second brief is October 29th. But that brief will be done by your next board meeting. She's not going to probably still be working on it a week before it's due. And she certainly will have thoroughly reviewed all of the issues and researched all of the, all of the claims. So she will certainly be able to talk to you next month about all of that.
So that sounds good, Don. Why don't we just go ahead and set it up for next month?
okay, that's on my list to do's first thing.
You said next month, not next week, right?
Next
month.
board meeting, right?
Next board meeting.
Okay.
Okay, that's it on the litigation. Now we go on to the supervisor's report. I just wrote down a few things that have been occurring here. I contacted the road commission regarding four-way stops in the community requested by a couple of residents. They didn't meet the criteria. We had a village wellhead protection meeting and they talked about the monitoring wells. Talked to MDOT about the TAP grant, as I told you, Bill, and they say they do fund advanced construct. So that would be a good thing. Put in a new well pump at Milford Memorial Cemetery. The Federal Aid Committee has no roads in Milford, paved roads in Milford on their list to have anything done with. Although we're giving them $100,000 for gravel. I got a memorandum of understanding for the trail from Wixom. I sent it to Jennifer and then I'll send it out to the board members. This is for the airline trail. I got the email from Giffords Webster today for the clear zoning and the price, and I'll be sending that out in the morning. We got something from the attorney today that says we should start looking at the sidewalk ordinance through the planning commission. And we're working on the smart contract tomorrow. We have some CARES money this time besides the regular smart funds. Any questions?
So on the sidewalk ordinance, we have a safety path plan already in place.
I
It's
thought
never
so,
really,
Bill.
pardon?
I thought so, but I don't think that can be, maybe that's kind of why I called you earlier so we could talk about that.
Oh, okay.
But my communication today with the administration, and I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this when some of the developments came up, or I can just comment on that right now. But with all the growth that you have projected and proposed in the south end of the township, right now you really should aggressively look at your putting in place a sidewalk ordinance so that you can mandate that the developers either put in sidewalks or pay toward a sidewalk fund. Once all, like one of the developments that's being proposed down there, and you haven't seen any of this yet. Well, I mean, you have, but they're putting trails throughout, or proposing trails throughout their whole project that would ultimately connect to Kensington. And so you're going to eventually want to see connectivity down there. So even if you're not having sidewalks put in right now that go to nowhere, eventually you may want to do that. So you're putting a proper sidewalk ordinance in place will allow you to forecast for that.
Let's
That would be
talk
planning.
about it Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit more because I think it'll tie into some other things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. for
I'm
me.
good.
Next on the agenda is the fire department report. Chief Moore.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Runs for August 153, year to date 1,241. And we're 33 runs down from last year, but we're closing that gap up. We did slow down a little bit. And one thing that did slow us up a little bit was the fact that Camp Dearborn has not been very active this year due to them closing the camping areas in there. The call breakdown, it was really nothing out of the ordinary, pretty much a normal month. Again, we had one more call for a water rescue. In August, we had 112 medicals. We transported 7 of those medicals, and that brings our transport for the year up to 76. Training for August, we continued on with our FTO training, which is our new people. And we're able to do that because we can stay within CDC guidelines and spacing for those trainings. Medical training, that was limited to online training through ACME or ACME. And they do a very good job, and you can just sit in the privacy of your own home and do that. We did do some fire training, SCBA confidence in our burn box. Again, we can keep spacing with that. And just to update everybody, the governor has released us to go back to normal as far as our medical training and things in our classroom. Our points of interest, we did respond to a report of a possible water rescue in Kensington again, and that was a boater in distress. And luckily, upon arrival, it turned out to be just somebody that had engine issues and was paddling to shore. So we like that. We had 6 members of the department attend and pass an advanced recon RIT training that was held at Oakland Community College Crest Center. And the funds for this class were paid for through the fireworks fund from the state of Michigan. So the fireworks fund has been very advantageous in paying for a lot of advanced training, and we took really good advantage of that training. So we had, like I said, 6 members go through, and it was quite good. As before, we're continuing to track all the COVID expenses. I've got a couple more I've turned in, and meetings are down. We've had our fire hose tested again this year, all 10,250 feet, and only 50 feet failed, which I think is pretty darn good. And I did look over the hose. The hose is, some of it has seen better days. It's still good hose, but the time is coming, and I will put together a proposal to replace some of that hose by the end of the year. And later on, we do have a training mannequin. I'm going to let Lieutenant Cook address that issue, and that was his project, and I'm going to let him present it. As far as the grants, the only grant we've gotten so far was for some PPE air masks made by 3M, and they should be in probably late this month, early October. The FEMA grants have started to be awarded. We have not found out yet, but we could be at the end of the line. We could be anywhere, but I'll keep you updated on that. And then as far as COVID, we have 110 as of the other day, 110 total in our area, with 27 cases, 0 deaths in the 80 zip code, and 83 cases and 3 deaths in the 81 zip code. So everybody on the department is staying very healthy, and that is a very good thing. The spirits are good, morale is great, everything's doing fine. And as of right now, Oakland County has had over 15,000 positive cases, and of those, over 11,000 have recovered. And the death toll is still at 1,128, but it is not climbing like it used to. It only goes up by maybe one every few days. So numbers are looking really good to us, but we're bracing for round 2 with the flu season. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Chief. That's a very good report.
Thank you.
Chief.
Chief, this is Randy Busick. This is a separate topic. Later this evening, we're going to be asked to look at a site, to vote on a site plan for a creative brick storage yard.
Yes.
And in their conditions, one of the conditions that was set forth was that they were going to work with you to ensure that they could get accessibility on the north side of the property line. Did they do that?
I wrote a letter. We did address that topic today. Thank you. And what the point is they want to put in a gravel access road. And
right.
Would that road meet our standards? I did look at the print and how the road was being constructed, and it actually exceeds.
This is an agenda item, Chief.
Pardon me?
This is an agenda item.
Okay.
The site plan
yeah.
is an agenda item. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah. The only difficulty is I don't want to make the chief stay the whole night just for this one
I don't
question.
mind.
Usually does.
well, it's an agenda item, so it needs to be
Okay.
addressed on the
Okay.
agenda.
All right.
Well, we have no one finished
Okay.
on the agenda, so we'll go to new business, and the first thing is site plan 19-5002, Nicholas Country, vacant Maple Road, parcel 1636-227-005.
Page 18-1.
Did Nick have anything to add?
You mean at the meeting or?
Is Nick here? No. All right, so I think the only outstanding issue from the planning commission really was the maintenance agreement. The reason for that is that existing vegetation was being used to meet the ordinance on screening and front yard landscaping. Based on the information that I have, we did not receive that yet.
That's correct.
And that was right directly from the planning commission, so I don't know why we haven't. It's the time to get that in.
Yeah, as the applicant isn't here and as it hasn't fulfilled the provisions of the of your condition in the planning commission,
Let's postpone.
Well, I think that we
Unfortunately, I
could
think this
probably,
gentleman Randy, this gentleman has really been through a lot.
Well, I
to get,
did all the
And did we
information go to him?
pardon?
Did all the information go to where it needs to go after the planning commission meeting? For instance, the fire chief just saw the creative brick stuff today. So that's my question. When it comes out of planning commission, does it go where it's supposed to go? So that people can review it and opine about it and do what they're supposed to be doing and follow up at the planning commission's marching orders.
I don't have an answer to that because I don't know where the information goes after the planning commission writes it. But I did.
is that the
I
only,
do have.
oh, excuse me.
Go on.
I was asking if that was the only unfinished item, could the site plan be approved conditional upon receiving the site maintenance agreement? Because I noticed in the packet, all 3 of the site plans tonight did not comply with the site maintenance agreement according to Holly's memo.
So what I would like to suggest, and I'll make a motion to approve S19502, Nicole Contracting, with the following provision: that the applicant must get the updated maintenance agreement in place to the township, noting that on the maintenance agreement, it should be noting the same text that I went through at the planning commission, that the existing vegetation being used for the meeting the township ordinance must be maintained as is, If the vegetation dies or is removed, the vegetation must be replaced to meet the township ordinances. That's my motion.
Or
Support.
And moved and supported.
I have a comment. If we could add to the motion that a properly executed site maintenance agreement, add the word properly executed. The rules come from Oakland County, not us, and they won't record something that's not in their recordable form. So it must be properly executed before we'll take it there.
So Holly, are you guys, because I know I prepared years ago a site maintenance agreement that's in recordable form. Are you?
They were given that, yeah.
Okay, so they're just.
And I
not
think
gonna
with
get it back to you?
COVID, and this case number is from last year, I think things with COVID, it got placed on planning without that being in place.
All right. I just wanted to make sure you didn't need something.
No, they need to properly execute the document before we can begin with permits.
This applicant has been through everything, including finding a rattlesnake nest on his property, which was then brought into the DNR. And so he's been delayed quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think this got lost in that shuffle.
So, Bill, are you amending your motion then for the properly executed document?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then I'll amend my support.
Any further discussion? Call vote, please.
Mazzara,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Wiltsey,
yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Worrell.
Yes.
Next
Mr.
is,
Supervisor,
yes,
can I request a point of order? If somebody wants to speak, what would be the proper way to let you know that you want to add to the conversation so you're not, so that I am not cutting anybody off?
I would say I can see everybody, so if you raised your hand,
Okay, thank you.
next would be the site plan SP 18-5003. It's from 2018.
3.
It's Creative Brick Storage Yard at 52972 Pontiac Trail, parcel 1636-351-003. A little thing that came up today is that facility it's an existing building and it's in the sewer district, and the sewer is within 200 feet. And our ordinance says that he's required to tie in if the sewer is within 200 feet. And the other thing is, our ordinance also says it can be metered, and the water meter should be put in at the owner's expense.
Well, if that's our ordinance, then it's time we
Please, Bob,
enforce it.
So just in brief, the applicant would have to tie into the water system, to the sewer system, as our ordinance indicates.
Yes.
Hold on 1 minute, please.
And have a water meter installed.
And on the review of the information provided by the applicant, again, we have the same issue with the maintenance agreement, which I really would like to see, complied with, as we just stated before. The other one was that there are some storage bins that are on his site plan. These storage bins are used to hold material into. The discussion came up as to whether these bins were in fact a structure.
There's a silver lamp upstairs in the bedroom.
So the planning commission indicated or agreed that they were not structures. But I'd like that to be noted on the site plan approval someplace so that it doesn't become an issue in the future. The other thing that seemed to be still outstanding was there is a lock on the gate exiting that site. And that lock has to have a knockbox put on it. So with the three provisions that the applicant tie into the existing sewer system and that the applicant agrees to install a water meter in conjunction with that, that the maintenance agreement is again put into a recordable form with the same verbiage for the last applicant, and that the applicant installs the knockbox.
And the storage bins are not structured.
Correct.
Okay,
Support.
it's been moved, supported. Any further discussion?
As the
Go ahead.
as the applicant, I do have a question. So I think when we initially started, I don't know when the ordinance exactly changed, but we had designed it based on the septic field and doing a well, because that's was the ordinance. We actually already have that approved from the water department, and that's all approved. So I don't know if this is something that if we're like, obviously we got caught up in the COVID thing, but we also this has been a 2-year process for us. We're doing multiple review changes and things like that. So I think during that time that ordinance had changed at that time. So
The ordinance is not changed. It's the sewer line has been put in and now it's within 200 feet of your property.
right, but okay. But at the time when we first did this initial planning, and now we've been delayed because of these other times, I mean, we've already paid and done a lot of work and investigation as far as doing the septic field. So I understand your point to connect to it, but when this was started, we'd be going backwards again, essentially for us. So, and I did talk to someone did deliver the maintenance agreement to the township. So
I wanted to speak on that. The
Hold
maintenance
on,
agreement
Cindy's got her
is,
hand up.
oh, sorry.
Cindy?
I spoke with the building official today when I reviewed the site plan for the different things that I didn't find, like the chief's letter and on the roadway and stuff. And according to the history of this site plan, it started back in 18. At that time, there was no laterals within 200 feet of this property. And according to our building official, the applicant was informed that if you don't move on this quickly, those laterals are coming, and at that time you would be required to connect. Well, due to COVID, due to different circumstances, the application was stalled, and now it's coming to fruition and the laterals are there. Therefore, our ordinance kicks in and the requirement is in place now that the applicant must hook up to the sewer and also provide for the lateral benefit payback to the other owners. So that's why this is in play now. And it wasn't in play when the application was first submitted to the township in 2018. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Holly?
We did receive your site maintenance agreement. However, there are some blank lines that need to be filled in on the front that are required, address, corporation information, in order for us to submit that to Oakland County. So it just need to come in and fill that information in, and we have your check as well, but it is not complete at this time.
Okay, we can make those revisions.
Okay, you just come in and fill it in. It won't take long.
Okay, this is Randy. I'm going to go back to the fire chief if he's still there, Chief Moore. Sorry, we got interrupted by administrative rules. There's a provision for providing acceptable fire access to the back of the property, and they were proposing to fulfill that requirement with a gravel road. Are you satisfied that you're going to be able to get your equipment in and out of there in all seasons?
I am, and that's the point of contention that was addressed today, is the road adequate. It is kind of a limited area back there. The standard is up to 20 feet now, but I deal with 18-foot roads throughout the village all the time, so I can concede on 2 feet. And the road, the substrate and the gravel actually meet all the requirements for a roadbed that would support our apparatus. So I can support the access road.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Mr. Mazzara,
Holly, on that maintenance agreement that you received, did it have that same text on it as I just read?
The text.
I mean, I think he means the text that says it's
On the
using the
planning,
existing, they're using the existing vegetation.
It's a standard form, so you're talking about an additional exhibit?
what we had asked with the planning commission of all three of these site plans that did not have maintenance agreement and were using the existing vegetation is that it had to be noted on the
No,
maintenance agreement, the existing vegetation being used to meet the township ordinance must be maintained as is. If the vegetation dies or is removed, the applicant must replace the vegetation in accordance with the ordinance.
no, that information is not here. It would be, the applicant would want to write that down as an exhibit A to the original document and add it to it. So
Okay.
no, we
Well,
do not have it.
if he needs the language, you can pick it up off page 18 of the material, tonight's material.
Mr. Bonamy,
I think majority of the screening, we are going to be planting. We're not solely relying on the existing planting. So,
That is correct. But the ones that you are relying on
okay,
fall into the maintenance agreement.
okay.
anything else? We had a motion and a second.
Who seconded the motion?
I did.
Dale.
Whose I did?
Dale.
Roll call vote, please.
Nazara,
Yes,
Wiltsey,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes,
Dagenhart,
Yes,
Green,
Yes. I'll get you a letter in regards to all this stuff, Mr. Bonamy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. Next on the agenda is site plan SP 195005, veterinary specialist, 205 Row Road, parcel 1603100007. There was a question regarding the height of the lights and shields. It was discussed today with the zoning official. And he went out and he looked. And there's existing ones and the new lighting should meet the ordinance as per height and shield and whatnot.
that would be the new lighting, correct, Don? The existing lighting needs to be shielded, the new lighting needs to be at the ordinance height?
Mr. Mazzara, Bill.
So and during the planning commission meeting, it came up as to our ordinance, which indicates that a parking lot adjacent to a residential zone, the maximum height of the poles is 15 feet. Again, it got a little complicated because it went back and forth as to what is considered to be adjacent. I talked to Tim today. It's adjacency of property. Also received a email back from Giffords and Webster indicating that our ordinance calls for it to be 15 feet. So again, Don, that's true. That's part of, actually matches the existing height of the poles they have right now. The other item that came up and was confirmed by Giffords and Webster is that our ordinance asks for some form of landscape lighting, building lighting. And the planning commission felt that it wasn't necessary due to the fact that it's a 24-hour facility. It would probably most likely have adequate lighting for exiting the building as necessary. So in that letter from Giffords and Webster, they indicated to move forward is with the planning commission's suggestion of not requiring the landscape lighting, but we look forward to modifying our ordinance in the future. So the applicant must comply to the lighting as specified in the in our ordinance, which is a 15-foot pole. Same note on the maintenance agreement so that we can take that. I know that the applicant addressed all the other issues in their letter. So with that, I would make a motion to approve veterinarian clinic specialties SP 19005 205 Row Road 16-03 100007.
With those conditions.
Yes.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion? Holly?
I wanted to say that I do have the site maintenance agreement with that language attached to it. However, the applicant, whatever version, I don't have an original signature on this document. It's a copied document that was notarized. The copied signature was notarized and witnessed, but it's a copied copy of his signature, which the county will not allow. So same thing, we need the properly executed site maintenance agreement.
But I think that's covered in Mr. Mazzar's conditions.
Okay, I just wanted to know because I thought the applicant was on the meeting. And I know that he probably knows he turned it in, and that's why we can't accept it.
Okay.
Mr. Barnes, I'll get a letter out to you. We need a roll call vote, right?
Mazzara,
Yes.
Wiltie,
Yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Busick.
Yes.
I'll get a letter out to you, Mr. Barnes,
Thank you.
with those changes or additions. Next on the agenda would be the request to purchase smart dummy training apparatus. Lieutenant Cook.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for everyone for your time tonight. What I'm seeking is approval for a purchase of a smart mannequin to be utilized in our fire training as well as our extrication training. It's a training aid that it really helps me from being a training officer to provide a very realistic, dynamic training environment while staying within very safe and effective training parameters. Currently, as you're aware, we have the burn structure over at Station 2, and the addition of this training mannequin will allow us to provide for very real life, very dynamic training for search and rescue, which you know, is something that fortunately we don't have to do a lot, right, in Milford, but very important skill set for us to maintain. It's very much a perishable skill, I would describe it as. So in addition of this smart training dummy would be a very large enhancement to our training program. As I mentioned, it's something that we can also utilize through our extrication training. It's built to withstand the rigors of being parked under a fire apparatus. So it's a very durable piece of equipment. From a purchase perspective, it is a price controlled item by Lion Products. And our department currently owns the Bolex smoke generating machine that you previously approved. So within that same lineage, we find that that Bolex smoke generating machine is performing very well for us. So we would like to use the same training mannequin as well. So to really sum up my request, I'm seeking approval for that Phoenix Safety Outfitters purchase in the amount of $3,697 even to come out of the BLS expenditures account. And then I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have about the training mannequin or its usage, anything like that.
I'd make a motion to approve the fire department purchase of the training mannequin, an amount not to exceed $3,697.
Support.
Been moved, supported, discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Wiltie,
Yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Mazzara.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Marty.
Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Next on the agenda is the request for postponement of rental inspection fees by Child's Lake Estates. You have a letter in your packet from Marshall Miller, who I met with, and Dale Wiltsey was with me at that meeting regarding the rental fees.
Do we have anybody from Child's Lake or from Kingsley Management want to speak on this? Do they, or just the letter?
All we have is the letter. And you remember that we invited the manager to sit in on the meeting, correct?
If I could interrupt for just a moment, Mr. Green, we do have a caller that has raised their hand. If you'd like, I can ask them to unmute their line.
Sure.
Caller with the last four digits of 3380. Please press *6 on your keypad and you will be unmuted.
Good evening, everyone. This is Lindsay Beelan. I'm the community manager here at Child's Lake. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
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 Everything's very delayed, so I apologize if this sounds very weird. But yes, on behalf of Marshall Miller, my supervisor, we have sent in a letter regarding the postponement, if you will, on this ordinance. We really have no problem with following through with this ordinance. The problem is just such a short notice as far as the timing on everything. This is for our community. We have roughly over 200 rental homes, so that puts us at about 37,000 to be sent in with these inspection fees. And we're really just hoping that due to this year and everything with the time frame, if we can just plan for this to be paid for in January.
It wasn't clear to me. I certainly understood your letter to say that you'd like to do it until January 1st. I didn't understand the date. What drives that? Are you're going to be richer in January 1st than you are now, or?
Well, right now with COVID, we're dealing with a lot of rental payments that were just not coming through. So it's really hard to budget these items accordingly when we're losing out on a lot of payments.
Okay. So do you project that will be resolved or better by January 1st?
Well, now that the courthouses are opening back up and we're able to get back into the groove of following through with evictions and collections, yes, we are sort of somewhat coming out of it. A lot of my court cases for evictions, I'm out almost $9,000 with people not paying. So yes, I really do feel like things will slowly get back on track as the courthouses are opening back up. We just had our first court date actually this past week. Everything got adjourned to the 17th, so I have another court date tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to start getting judgments for payment.
We could do this payment in increments of 20 to 40 units. Or we could do the entire thing, or we could put it off till January. I'd rather see the program start moving forward. So if we could do 20, 25 or 30 or whatever units per month as your income is coming back in, that would be much better for us.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
As the person who is administering it and putting all this input into the computer, I'd like to say that I'd like to see that Child's Lake file the registration fee, which is $25, and all of the addresses that are either lease or rental be submitted to the township. And I think administratively, we could set up a schedule so that you could pay for 25, 30, or whatever we decide. And then as our inspector inspects and works those off, the next 25 would become due and payable. Our aim is for safety, not for the money. So I believe that we are sensitive to that for you, but we need to know who those rentals are, what the leases are, and we need the list of all those addresses. And I think we probably need to get started right away in increments. And then the money cannot be delayed. The money has to be paid before the inspector can come out, or the township is on the hook for that. So if we got payment for 25 inspections, and then it's going to take him a while to work that off, and then the next 25 would become due. I think that would be doable for both parties.
I think we could agree with that. Yeah, as far as entering everything, we can definitely have all of that submitted within the next couple weeks for all of our homes. As far as the registration goes, the payment, yes, if we can do increments, I think that Kingsley Management would not have a problem with that.
Right. Well, the registration would include at least 25 homes. So there would be about 9,000 due with first registration. And then the other 175 homes could sit and hold in our accounting software until the first 25 are inspected, and then the next would become due.
Can you clear up what the fee is? Because I know that our attorney contacted you guys. Manufactured homes were not listed as a fee, so I believe he stipulated it was $175 through conversation with you. But
Yes.
If you could just confirm that with me, that would be great.
$175 would be per mobile home.
Okay.
So you had your hand up.
The big question I have is, what homes are we going to do first? Are we going to do occupied homes or unoccupied homes? I don't mind saying doing 25 at a time, but I'd like to, make an understanding that if we've got unoccupied homes that are being repaired or just up for rent right now, that they not be rented until they have the inspection done. So if they pop, say we're going to do 25 homes, and then we turn around and we do 10, and all of a sudden they have a new home that they want to rent out, that home be immediately paid for the inspection before somebody moves in.
I understand what you're saying, Trustee Wiltsey, but the consequence of that is that you make the emphasis of the inspections on unoccupied dwellings. And since this is a safety measure, that seems to me to be upside down. What you really want to do is to focus on deficiencies that could harm people. I mean, I'm sorry if some unoccupied structure is involved because of a lack of inspection, but I guess I'd rather see that than have an occupied structure get involved.
Right.
So would your idea be to say, set a count like, say, 25 a month plus a stipulation for any unoccupied dwelling? So 25 a month occupied plus any unoccupied ones that they want to bring online?
Correct. That was my thought. Yes.
I get it now.
just to clear up the occupied versus unoccupied homes right now, Child's Lake, we're as of right now, 100% occupied. We have 0 vacancy at this point. We do have 2 homes that are coming up effective October 1st, but those are for sale only homes. And I will stipulate that, Don, we spoke, and Dale, we spoke about this during our last meeting. We have no intentions this year of continuously re-renting out our units that are older than the 2000 models. So we will be utilizing and seeing that turnover with the older floor plans as listed as is for sale only, with minor inspection, or not inspections, with inspections for me as well, but again, with people going into these homes knowing that there may be some work needed.
Well, your sale on home, that would only, anything on there would have to be, conformed with the state of Michigan, their codes on it.
Well, of course, yes.
But as far as our inspections, the way that Randy Busick timely was able to put it into proper grammar. No, I think we do 25, and if you have an unoccupied home that you want to lease out, that be in addition to that 25.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
I would support that.
Okay, and the start date on this clock would be now?
Well, Lindsay can get a hold of us tomorrow in my office, and we can work out the details of how to get this started.
Okay.
Well, I think we also need to go through and come to an understanding that, we're not gonna go on for months at a time here. So, we're at the 16th of the month. I would say no later than the 25th, we should start into the inspections.
Okay.
Well, according to the motion, as I understand it, that by tomorrow, they should be contacting me with a registration filled out and a list of all 200 rental units. At that time, they'll pay for 25, which I will put in the system and ship off to Jason Eastman. He will contact them. He will inspect them. Upon completion of the 25th unit, another 9,000 will be due. Now, if that's December 1st, it's December 1st. To me, that's the way I understand your motion. We'll do 25 at a time.
No, that's not how I understand it at all. You're saying that we want 25 a month. That means not December 1st.
I said, we don't know how long it's going to take for Jason to inspect those 25 homes. He's got to set up a point.
That's my very next question. If he's going to be the limiting factor, we can't put a provision on them that says 25 a month if he can't accommodate that.
You're not understanding, Randy. I'm saying we register 25. He sets up appointments if it takes him a month, 6 weeks, or 4 weeks, whatever it takes him. When he completes those inspections, he will notify me and I will notify the park that the next 25 are now due. They have to pay for them and be inspected. So we're not saying that we're going to wait till January. We're saying we'll do 25 at a time. However long that takes him, the next 25 will be due at that point. They don't have to pay the $37,000 in one lump, but it could be a monthly payment depending on how quickly Jason can accomplish those
And the
inspections.
dollar amount for 25 is $4,375.
Yeah. Cindy and I are talking at cross purposes here, Cindy. You're talking about the revenue of it, and I'm talking about the inspection rate. I understand, Cindy, perfectly what you're saying about how the money comes in, but if our inspector takes, let's say, for example, 6 weeks to plow through 25 units, it means of the 200 units, we'll only have 50 inspected by the end of the year.
That's correct. And there is no revenue stream because all the money that they pay to us is money being paid back to the inspector. So it's not a
No,
revenue.
no, I understand that, but you're just talking about how the money flows in and how it flows out. And I'm talking about trying to get these units inspected from the safety standpoint and how this might end up dragging out for, gosh, till the middle part of next year.
Well, I don't think it would take that long, but I don't know how long it takes to inspect either.
Well,
Bill,
let's say it takes 6 weeks to inspect 25. 4, 8. That means 24 weeks, 30 weeks, no more. 8 by 6, 48. Yeah, it was certainly at 25 every 6 weeks.
I'm sure he's going to do
week.
it faster than that. He can probably do. Bill wants to say something.
I was going to say it would take nearly a year. Go ahead.
Trustee Mazera.
I don't think, at this point, we're just starting this program up from zero. So Randy, I really don't think if it does take another 4 months or 6 months, it's a step in the right direction. The person can only do so many inspections at one time. We don't even know how in-depth these inspections are going to be. It may take them, a day to do one. It may take them a day to do 5, just depending on what he's running into. So I don't think that, trying to log it out and say he's not going to be done by half a year, that's fine. At least we're doing it. And he'll do it at his rate. So I think the way that Cindy's moving with it, he does 25, comes back in, hopefully with a little bit of notice, and does the next 25. It takes until June. It's better than where we are right now with nothing.
And if it's.
Well, no, I get that. But I'm just trying to understand, or at least have my understanding, have the board also understand that if he does something like 25 every 6 weeks, it'll be nearly a year until this is fully implemented, 50 weeks, for example. So
that's only for a week.
Yeah, exactly so. 4 weeks, 200 units, 50 weeks.
He can probably do 4 or 5 a day.
A day.
So that
I'm fine with that. I'm simply was taking somebody, and I think it was you, Cindy, that said take him 6 weeks. I just want to be sure the applicant is asking us to move back. We're pondering to move back this bill date to January 1st, and in the next breath, we're actually saying, well, we can stretch it out to a year. I just want to be sure we're all on the same wave.
I didn't understand that. I understood that Lindsay asked for it to not even start till January 1st.
Start the billing.
My suggestion, and I think Dale's motion suggests you register now, you give us all of the addresses. We pull money for 25 inspections. When he finishes that, the next 25 is due. Now, these mobile homes are in close proximity to each other, I would imagine. At least they're all in the same park. He would probably do 4 or 5 a week if he can set the appointments up, because he's going to have to contact the park manager or the tenant. I don't know exactly how that works, but he should be able to easily do 4 a day.
If that's the right number, I withdraw my objection. I'm just saying that someone said, and I think it was you, Cindy, if it takes him 6 weeks to do 25, and I said, wait a minute, at the rate of 25 per 6 weeks, this will take a year to implement. And since it's a safety measure, I just wanted to be sure that everybody on the board understood what we were batting around right now.
Trustee Wiltsey.
The letter requested that they not pay the $37,000 until January 1st. So let me reword my motion. We'll do 25 at a time, plus any new ones as unoccupied units that come on. And then January 1st, when they say their new budget kicks in, they'll have the money. The rest of it, they can pay in one lump sum in January.
Good enough for me.
Can I say something though on top of that though? Because as you guys are stating that all of this could take some time and we have to work around people's schedule and things, why would I want to pay the inspector who I can't guarantee that all these are going to be inspected within a 6-month time frame or a year time frame even, if we're trying to work with everybody's schedule in a sense?
But Lindsay, your letter said that you could not, the company could not afford to pay $37,000 until January 1st. So, we're accommodating you by saying.
It states
25
in the letter, payments can be arranged starting January 21st. So
Okay.
with that, I still agree that maybe we should continue to start off with the 25 inspections and then see how quick that this one inspector that you guys have hired can get into this community and actually inspect these homes working with everybody's schedule. If it's only one inspector, maybe we should consider having 2 or 3 or 4 inspectors to make sure if you guys are asking for a whole lump sum up front, then this is going to get done efficiently.
No, excuse me for saying it. You've just made two completely opposite arguments. You say we need more inspectors, and then also we may not be able to get these places arranged fast enough to keep your one inspector occupied.
With the one inspector, that's what I'm stating. It's because I'm not saying well, yes, I am saying maybe your inspector cannot handle the amount of scheduled appointments between myself or this, the tenant per se, because all these units are occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to figure that schedule out. We'll do the first 25, see how many he does a day, and then we can work from there. But we have to start somewhere.
Yes, I agree.
True.
Pleasure, taking heart.
Listen, I've got other large.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got other large landlords that have come in, paid their money, and they've got multiple units and they didn't bat an eye. And we're trying to be accommodating to Child's Lake, and this is a safety measure. I'm happy with managing those 200 units at 25 at a time to give them a break. I'm sure our inspector can handle it just fine. We're not talking about township properties where you've got miles in between the residences. Let's do 25 at a time. When those are complete, the next installment is due and he just keeps on trucking. We're not going to hire 2 and 3 and 4 inspectors. We have one guy. He'll do an excellent job. Somebody just said we'll find out in the first month or week how long it takes him to do it. Right now, everything that we have recorded in the township system have been inspected, recorded, and he's already done. So I am in favor of, and what I would vote for, other than having the whole 37,000 paid up front, I'm willing to do 25 at a time and then money be due when the 25th one is done, the next amount is due. That's what I am in favor of.
Okay, this is Randy. Let me strike a hypothesis, Cindy. Let's say, for example, I'm sure that that Kingsley Management will make their best effort to make these units available to us. But let's say, for example, they drag their feet. And you can't, even though our inspector is ready to do it, you can't do the first 25 for 6 months, 8 months, because this person's not available, that unit's not available. Are you going to be satisfied with an inspection rate that goes forward at 25 a year or 50 a year?
No, of course not.
But just the scenario that you just laid out says that we're going to charge them for 25, and then when the inspector and Kingsley Management can get themselves together enough to get through that 25, then we'll move on to the next 25. But what you're really doing then is putting our inspection timetable in the hands of Kingsley Management and Child's Lake.
Well, I believe we have some teeth in our ordinance so that if they are dragging their feet and not doing what they're supposed to be doing, that we have some kind of recourse, don't we, Jennifer, in the ordinance for non-compliance?
Yes, but it's not going to be Kingsley Management. Your inspector is going to have to deal with tenants who are probably going to have differing schedules. So you do have teeth for not making yourself available for inspection, but the reality of that is it's going to be the tenant making the unit available for inspection. If that doesn't happen, you have to issue a civil infraction. Then you have to prosecute in district court. I mean, this is not something that you just can immediately remedy because the tenant's dragging their feet. And that will go for every single unit. It will take months and months and months to.
Let me interject here. I think the park has the authority with a 2-day notice to enter those mobile homes.
You're correct. We do have that authority. However, the problem that we're seeing right now with my standard inspections that I have already, because people and kids are at home by themselves, I cannot get access to the inside of these homes if there's a minor in that home. So if we schedule an appointment, like I had one today, for instance, my problem is I knocked on that door, but because I was not there for that adult to be there, they cannot open, or I absolutely will not enter if there is a minor in that home. So that is the one problem that I do have, is that I can send a notice, I can give you a 48-hour notice of inspection regardless, but these tenants will just, if they don't want you in their home, they're gonna leave.
And she is correct in the regard that they can have a contract with their tenants. The park can have a contract with their tenants that says you only get 2-day notice and then we're going to come in. But if the tenant doesn't let you come in, you have to get a warrant. You can't just go to people's properties. So that will take some time. And so what I'm trying to tell you is this isn't dependent on the management company. It's dependent upon scheduling between the inspector and the tenant.
Sure. And so all you need is a couple of libertarians who dig their heels in and say, no, you're not coming onto my property, period. And this whole thing can grind to a halt.
Trustee Mazzara.
So why don't we just go back to Dale's motion that says 25, but in January, they all come due.
Sounds good. It sounds good to me because that puts an incentive on Kingsley Management to make their tenants compliant.
Right, we can't predict what's going to go on. So this way here,
Sure.
start right away, get it off the ground going right, like Dale said. Take 25 this month, take 25 next month, but in January, they all come due.
Okay,
Well, no, Dale's provision was what Cindy mentioned. They pay for 25 inspections up front. Then when those are done, they pay for the next block of 25. And then come January 1st, the entire remainder becomes due.
That's correct.
Yes.
But Cindy, if we inspect 100 homes between now and then, we're on the hook for those 100 homes, right? What if they don't pay?
he
We
won't,
don't inspect
they don't
without money.
inspect unless we have the money up front.
But we're
Okay, up front.
we're inspecting now and asking for them to pay 100% in January. So we're not going to inspect until January?
We're not going to inspect until we get payment for the number that we're going to inspect. So there's no way we're going to take money for 25 and then inspect 100. When he's done with 25, he's done until I tell him I've got the registration and the inspection fees paid, move forward with the next 25. Because if we did that, we would be on the hook to pay him. So we can't do that. We've got to have the money in our hands, then he goes out and does the inspections. And if,
Thank you, Cindy.
Go ahead.
So I think, Trustee Wiltshie's motion is good, provided it incorporates Cindy's concept that they pay for the 25 in advance. That way we're not on the hook for the cost. The township's not on the hook for the cost.
They pay for all of it in advance, in increments.
Yes, 20, that's what I'm saying. Pay for 25, then do 25. At the end of that, they pay for the next 25. And then, as Trustee Wiltshie mentioned, come January 1st, however many are undone at that time, then Kingsley Management would pay for the entire block of the remainder undone. That way we would always be ahead of the game in terms of being paid before we did the inspection.
Correct.
And by January, we're going to have a real good idea how many homes can be inspected per day, per week, and per month. So
that's true. That's true.
Correct.
This is something we can always go back and revisit if we need to, if there ends up being major problems. But I think, to get it off the ground, let's do 25. When that 25 is plus, any one vacancy if it comes up to be rented. And after that, come January 1st, whatever is remaining, let's do that as one big block.
Comes due.
That was your motion, so who's the support?
Support.
I supported it.
Okay. Clerk Brandt.
I just want to make sure that Terrell is clear with the motion exactly so that we're all on the same page. Lindsay's on the line here. Just want to make sure that she's got it.
So what I have is that they will pay for 25 homes at a time, plus any new unoccupied units to be inspected. Then the next 25 homes are to be paid for and inspected, and the remainder would be due in January.
On the 1st.
January
Yeah, I
2nd.
think that's an accurate characterization.
Let's change it to the 2nd. That's a business day.
Okay, good.
I think part of that motion too was that all of the information for all 200 rental units would be submitted now, and
Correct.
that the rental application fee would be paid as well.
Yes,
Correct.
a complete list of addresses and the fee.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Wiltsey,
Yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Mizera,
Yes.
Worrell.
Yes.
Okay, Lindsay, get us all that information as can, hopefully within the next couple of days, and we'll move forward from that.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the request for a renewal of Sears Lake Special Assessment District for eradication or control of aquatic weeds and plants in Sears Lake Homeowner Association, and set the public hearing for the October meeting.
So there wasn't anything in the packet on this issue, but I've been emailing with Holly and I've seen the resident emails, and it looks like they haven't even submitted a petition yet. So
Yes,
you
they
can't.
have.
Oh, okay. Because he was asking about that this morning, I thought.
I have the petitions and we didn't put them in the packet this time.
So the petitions have been certified?
Certified, no, they have not gone through that process yet.
Yep. Wendy
so-
went through them and
Oh.
verified signatures.
Okay, I forgot about that. Thank you.
So you need a resolution for this evening too, to set your public hearing, which I can give you after your tomorrow or whenever. But I didn't know that even petitions had been submitted, because the emails that I was seeing said he wanted to know how to process the petitions. So I wasn't really sure
Sorry about that.
what had happened. So you'll need a resolution, and it's going to be done what the board is finding this evening. You're tentatively approving your intention to do this improvement, the weed eradication, designate a special assessment district, and then set a date and time for the next public hearing. So your findings this evening would be that you're tentatively approving the designation of this special assessment district, and that it is your intention to do this improvement and then set the public hearing.
Jennifer, do you think we should start with that resolution next month and then get the ball rolling?
Well, I mean, that's up to you. They're not going to do weed eradication until probably spring anyways, right? So you
Yes.
certainly have time. I don't know how that affects like your assessment process, Cindy, but
I'm not sure without looking at my rolls when their assessment expires. Don, did you check into that? When you guys were accepting the petitions, did you look at the resolution to see when it expires?
I thought both of you already
I
looked at
believe it
that.
expires at the end of this year.
So I would be able to collect the weeds December 1st, but I wouldn't be able to collect it next December. So we would have a year's time to get this on the rolls for next year, because they would still be able to collect this December 1st.
so I don't have the resolution in front of me. I just pulled some resolutions off my computer and I wasn't really sure if that was for this. But what I'm seeing is that the one I prepared was a 10-year assessment, which was approved on October 20th of 2010. So that would end the assessment October 20th of 2020. So
Most of my assessments expire on December 31st, so I'd be surprised if it was October.
yeah, I mean, the
That's
approval
when it
for
was
the
passed.
assessment expires on 2020, October 20th. Procedurally, your collection may extend beyond that, but it ends then.
Okay. So I'd still be able to collect this December.
Yes.
We did it in 2000, 2010, and now 2020.
Okay, well, so let's see, October, November. I mean, you're going to be past that date, but you could potentially get this in 2020.
Well, as the motion you're asking for is a tentative approval, why can't we just go ahead and get it out of the way now?
Yeah, and set your public hearing.
Yeah,
Is that your motion, Randy?
it is, and my motion is to adopt Jennifer's language.
Support.
So tentative approval of our intention to establish a special assessment district, to designate the special assessment district, and to set a meeting date. Anybody got a calendar handy? I'm sorry, I don't.
No, it'll be a public hearing and it'll be your next board meeting.
October
Public hearing
21st.
at the next board meeting, October 23rd.
I support that, Randy.
Okay, thanks.
It's been moved, supported. Any discussion?
The meeting date is October 21st.
Right.
I think, yeah, good.
Roll call vote, Terrell.
Busick,
Yes.
Wiltsey,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Dagenhart,
Yes. She froze.
Mazzara,
Yes.
Morel,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Thank you. The agenda is the contract renewal for sexton services at Milford Memorial Cemetery and Oak Grove Cemetery with Huron Cemetery Maintenance.
Does anyone have any questions?
Are you satisfied with what they've been, sorry, it's Randy. Have you been satisfied with what they've been doing until now?
Yes, absolutely.
Very, very satisfied.
All right. And the other question I had, hold on, let me get to that, the right page. Page 68. They say that the amount of work, he says the amount of work is going up. He says over the years, the time spent maintaining the cemetery increases as they mature. I went back and looked at it. It looks like, while he says it increases, it looks like they're still budgeting the same number of hours. Is that accurate? Did they do 15 cuts this year?
I haven't counted, actually. I know that there were COVID issues with them being able to be out there, and they may or may not have cut when they weren't supposed to, but I'm not vouching for that one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. If they cut less than 15 times, do they give us a cost down, or they just keep the money?
I don't know how
We'll look into that tomorrow.
that.
All right. Okay, the other thing, I did a little math on there. This looks like they're giving us a steady bump of about 3% per year with hourly charges a little over $100 an hour. Trustee Worrell is probably a good one to comment on that. Does that look like a reasonable cost structure to you?
I would say so, knowing that the machinery they have. So yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll move that we renew the contract with it's with called Huron Cemetery Services, I think is its official name, right? Huron Cemetery Maintenance. Yeah. My motion is that we renew our contract with Huron Cemetery Maintenance for the 3-year period of 2021, 2022, and 2023, according to the cost table that they submitted, dated sometime that I can't see.
August 28th.
If you say so, I don't see the date on it.
That's the date of the letter.
Okay, as you say, I'm looking at the fee schedule. Okay, August.
Support that, Randy.
August 28th. There we go.
Okay.
Brian supported it.
Right. And
So that'd be a roll call vote.
Busick,
yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Mazzara,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Wiltsey,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Dagenhart.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the proposal for Transportation Alternatives Program, application for Hawk Signal at General Motors and Martindale Roads. We approved $25,000 to do the site plan for this Hawk Signal at the crossing on General Motors Road. And it came back, they were going to charge us $7,775 for that job. And to do the TAP grant, they're telling us that they would charge us the $4,680. Now, we're applying for the TAP grant under the thing that I talked to MDOT yesterday along with SEMCOG, and they do advanced construct where they basically reimburse you for having expended your money, and they reimburse you up to a certain amount because you do have to have a 20% match. I'm looking at that. I'm working with the road commission to have them get me a cost estimate for the signal installation. They're putting a bunch of stuff out for bid all at once. And I'm attacking this in 2 or 3 different directions. So one of them's got to pan out and we'll get the signal in.
Dan?
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dan?
Bill?
I know that we had the discussion, last week, went over this whole thing.
Right.
The Skyhawk system is a system where a pedestrian pushes a button and it controls a basic light. So I think what I've looked into was some other system that's similar to what Commerce has used and other communities have used. If Ken is there and can bring up this image that I sent forth to everybody earlier.
Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. This is called a beacon. It's a rapid response beacon controlled by a solar powered panel on the top. And then in between the 2 yellow signs is a high intensity strobe light. So in my trip this week, I did 2 different trails, both long trails on busy roads, and they've used this type of system. The township that I contacted is in Ottawa County. Ottawa Road Commission is where I started out with. They sent me to Parks Township. This is one big circle, and talked with the supervisor. I've talked to a manager there. This system to installed on these roads with the improvements that you see right there was $20,000. So that is a far cry less than a Hawk system. And where I've seen a Hawk system used in the past is primarily at roundabouts. So what I'm wondering is, this is a flashing pedestrian light at high intensity. So I got more information from him, and he happened to be the manager for Northfield. When he was with Northfield, he installed several of these with OHM. Gentleman's name was Jacob Rushlow. So OHM has a lot of information on installing these systems throughout Ann Arbor and other communities. They was pretty much in favor of it. Jacob led me back to contacting Matthew Parks. Matthew Parks is the person you contacted from the village to write the proposal, but was not the person that would ultimately be responsible for implementing the work. Everybody had real positive response about these. I think that's all I was really looking for, was something to highlight the fact that there's a pedestrian crossing there besides paint. General Motors Road is nowhere near as busy as US 35, which had several of these, and another road that was in Ottawa. So these are used quite a bit and they're a lot less expensive. Because I think what we were looking at originally, Don, somewhere around $150,000.
That's
175.
going on the recommendation of the road commission because of the speed of on the road.
Right. The road commission is recommending the Skyhawk system. That's a Skyhawk system is controlling a traffic light.
Correct.
So
Bill,
this system does not control the traffic light, nor do I think that, and after talking with Matthew Parks for a while, he was in pretty much full agreement that we may want to back up a minute, talk with Matthew Parks again as a group, get more information, because he was pretty positive that a system like this would work on General Motors Road. And other
Bill,
communities.
does this strobe supposed to make the cars would slow down? It's not controlling the traffic light. So basically the traffic laws would be, if you see this flashing, that you're to slow down like a school bus, basically.
Correct.
And
So
these solar powered units are pedestrian activated?
See the button on the lower portion of the pole?
Yeah.
That activates. It's a Skyhawk system is pedestrian activated also. If you want to see one in action, go to the roundabout at Maple Road and Farmington or Drake. If you can get 4 people together, push all the buttons at the same time. That's what the kids do.
I see.
totally stops traffic. And we're looking at General Motors Road, which is an intersection of maybe Martindale. And I really think that you have a traffic count there higher in the morning and in the evening than you do throughout the day.
Right.
And very little on the weekend. This would be fast. Wouldn't require a TAP grant, because a TAP grant is one way of escalating your costs. It escalates your costs from a lot of different reasons. One is that you're dealing with the federal government. Anytime you take that step, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of legal paperwork. So a lot of the money that goes into that doesn't even go towards creating the signal. And I know, Don, we talked about it. This is all new, sort of came up with my ventures over the last few days. But I think it's used everywhere.
I think it warrants more looking into, Bill. I agree,
especially cost performance.
Right. Let's talk to Mr. Parks and
so Don, do you want to get together with Matthew?
See them and see how they work.
Yeah.
Don, you want to get together with
Contact
Matthew
him
and talk
tomorrow
about
anyway.
it? Pardon?
I had to contact Matt tomorrow anyway.
Could you ask him to bring his traffic engineer with him? Because he's not a traffic engineer. He's just the representative for the village, and really told me that this would be out of his bailiwick to do anyways. And I can't remember the young lady's name that he gave me. What?
Sarah.
Who is it?
Sarah.
Sarah is with Giffords and Webster.
I think it's Sally.
Sally?
Sally.
Yeah, Sarah's with Giffords and Webster. I just don't remember. But if he could bring her, this would be, heck, we could pay for this out of the Parks and Rec fund that didn't get expended.
Yeah.
I have a dumb question for Bill.
But
I assume there's one at each end, right?
Yes, there's one on both sides of the street.
Okay.
I wasn't in charge of taking pictures in the car.
Okay. Well, she did a great job.
Okay, I'll look into this tomorrow.
And I'd like
So
to
are
move it
we-
along quickly. We have an unsafe condition out there and it's
Right.
just not good.
Are we postponing or letting this no action taken and?
Well, we're going to have to postpone it because TAP grant has to be in by October 14th. So we'll just take it off the agenda and
Okay, no action taken, and we'll start
Right.
again with
and I'll
another
work on the
process.
other, I'll work on that other signal with Matt.
Sounds good. Okay,
Just other thing with the TAP grant, just so everybody knows, that you apply for a TAP grant, the application that's going in on the 14th, monies don't become available until 22, 23.
kind of sounds
Wow.
like our trail
Yeah,
monies.
we need to fix it sooner than that.
And
Right.
you may not get it. This is a pretty good candidate. It's not a lot of money, but if we're going to go ahead with the TAP grant, going back to Jennifer, I would like to see more safety pathways put in, sidewalks. And that would be another useful purpose of a TAP grant, which is a lot larger dollar volume, which offsets some of the legal costs that are involved in putting this grant together. It's not easy. Anytime you deal with the federal government, it's not easy. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about that if we wanted to move ahead with the TAP grant, which I would encourage that we do because we don't have sidewalks. We don't have safety paths. We're fortunate that a lot of people in the pedestrian walkable community walk on the dirt roads, but they can't cross Milford Road.
Right,
So,
so that kind of piggybacks on what we were talking about earlier, why it's important to have the planning commission start having conversations about developer mandated sidewalk safety paths.
Right.
Because in addition to you attempting to secure federal funding to put in safety paths on your own volition, you could also get developer contributions for safety paths to complete your system.
we should, and we
Well,
have
then
that
there-
safety path plan in place already.
Well,
And-
then there's no rush to get this TAP grant put in because we're changing the whole scope of what they were going to work on. And I
I
don't,
really think
the
that
safety paths.
based on the
fast.
information I have and the number of communities, Ann Arbor has several of these, have never spent more than $20,000, including pavement reconfiguration.
Cindy?
I just was wondering how we would move forward with getting the planning commission to amend would it be our zoning ordinance?
Yes.
Do we need a motion to ask them to start looking at that and how to amend it? Because I think it would be a great idea too, to have a developer-driven sidewalks. A lot of communities have the developers kick in on this stuff and alleviate the expense of the community. So
Mhm.
if that is appropriate, I would like to make a motion to ask planning commission to examine altering our zoning ordinance for the admission of sidewalks requirements for these developments or the developments that are coming into Milford Township.
I'll support that.
Let me ask first as a point of order, do we need to amend the agenda?
No, you're okay.
Okay.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Dagenhart,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Mazzara,
Yes,
Brandt,
Yes.
Busick,
Yes.
Worrell,
Yes.
Wiltsey.
Yes.
so on the agenda item though, Don, you can contact Matt.
Yeah.
I talked to him again tonight. His cell is 248-444-8984. And I sort of told him we'd probably be calling him.
Okay.
All I got.
Okay. Board member remarks. Treasurer Dagenhart.
Oh, I'm first. Okay. I have a couple things tonight. I'd like to request that we start setting up some workshops for the board to discuss sewer billings, possible creation of a water and sewer department. With the proposed developments that are coming into the township, we've got the crossings of Milford, we've got Steve Weiner's development, and I've heard rumblings that Robertson might be starting to phase in some of their development. And in reviewing some of these site plans today, and especially the one that we found to be in the sewer district and nothing was set up for that, I think if we had some board workshops, because there's a lot to discuss on how we're going to bill for the sewage, because even if the water is coming through Lyon Township, it's going to flow out through Milford Township. So we need a water and a sewer bill. Now, I don't know what the dynamics would be of how to set that up, but I think we need some workshops where we all start talking about what's going to be our best bet so that we could be proactive as these developments come on board. We're not chasing our tail trying to figure out how to make them pay. Are we going to require meters on every house? Is Lyon Township going to bill us for the water and then we have to pay them back? I just think it would be good if we brainstorm. Yes.
I'm in favor of understanding anything thoroughly, but the water is not a Milford Township issue.
No, but the sewage is.
Now, I understand the sewage would be. So, but as for a water department or how we collect, that's not our issue. That water's Lyon Township's water.
You misunderstand me, Bill. I'm not talking about billing for water. I'm talking about we need to bill for the sewage. Lyon
Yes.
Township is not going to bill for our sewage.
Yes, I understand
And all
that
of
fully,
that water,
and I agree.
all of that water that I'm just stating, they're going to be purchasing it from Lyon, but ultimately it's going to flow through our pipes. We need a way to meter that sewage so that they get a sewer bill from us. Because just like I get a water and sewer bill in the village, it's based on my water usage. I don't know if there are sewer meters that you can meter the water that's going out of these homes and businesses. I don't know, but I just thought that it might be a good idea if we set up some workshops to try to start talking about this before it hits us in the face and we're trying to scramble. The other thing I wanted to ask the board is I think we need to also have a workshop to talk about SADs for lateral extensions of the sewer. We're running into a problem because you've got one person on a stub road that wants connection to our sewer. And there is no lateral there. So as it's been going, we make that developer or that person, whoever it is, they put in the lateral, and the township is responsible, as Jennifer was telling me today, that the person that put in that lateral can't go after the other people on the road to recoup their money for putting in that sewer. It's got to go through the township. So in getting a better understanding today, I understand that the laterals, we've got 9 of them. We've got 9. So if the township financed a lateral for one little road, it could be 4 taps, it could be a 6 tap, whatever. The one that I'm talking about today with the brick company, the brick company.
Creative Brick.
Yeah, Creative Brick. There are, I believe, 6 on that street. So basically, it was like $109,000 to put that pipe in. And one person put it in, they financed it, and now we're trying to figure out how to collect that money. So I think that, I know it would help me to understand. I think that we need to address looking at agreeing to doing special assessments for those laterals. Now, they would be small special assessments based on need and when it would come into play. We've got one completely in, one lateral being used completely by one section, and there's maybe 6 on that one. And then we've got this one tonight, and there's still 4 more lots that could access it. And I think we've got about 7 more that could possibly come to fruition. With that being said, if we have rules and regulations in place on how we would handle a lateral should it come before us, then we'll be at least ready to go and everybody will know what we're supposed to do. So I'm asking that if we could have some workshops to address some of these issues so we could be ahead of the game. So that's one request. The other thing I wanted to discuss was, if you saw in your packet, my deputy Terrell prepared an informational piece for the, it was requested that the trustees have read-only access to the programs and our books. So she has made a list of all the things that we would have to do to be able to do that, which you can read at your leisure, but ultimately recommends that if we have one computer in the office that's assigned to the trustees, they can come in, they can sign in, they can look at whatever they want to look at. And actually, it'd be better because if you have questions, you're going to need to ask one of us. So we are there every day to answer those questions. But to provide VPNs and computers for everybody off-site, it's just not a good idea. Plus, there's a safety factor. And Terrell is still on the line, so I wanted to bring it up so that you guys could ask your questions. Bill, I see your hand.
I think Terrell's recommendation is a great idea. You already have a computer. My intention was not to cause the township any costs, but to give access to all the information to all the trustees. So if you have a question, I understand that it could be available in the evening hours as well. Once you start to work the software, I'm sure that, you know, you're only going to be working the software. You're not going to be editing the software. It probably isn't that hard to understand, especially when I see the training is $21. So I think it'd be great. I think we can just have one in the township. We want to go take a look at the up-to-date spending of money, opposed to just having a budget, which is fiction the day after it's written. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up because Terrell's on the line and she could answer any questions that we have. For myself, I wanted to let you, for myself, I wanted to let you know, I would strongly recommend anybody that wants to have a better understanding of how to read these reports. I spent an hour and a half with Lori today, and I work with this stuff all the time. But when you're looking at the revenue and expenditure reports and the budget and what some of those numbers mean, they mean the exact opposite of what you think. So I would strongly suggest anybody that wants to have a better understanding of these reports, come in and spend an hour with Lori. She's very informative, and it really, really is helpful because I learned some things today that I didn't understand too. So just a suggestion, and that's it. That's all I have.
Did Lori just set up a workshop for us?
Well, I asked her that. I said, you know, I think that it would be really good if you taught a class, because reading these reports is, once you learn how to do it, it really opens up your eyes to what things mean. She said she would prefer to work on a one-to-one basis. That if she said, I'm here every day, would love to sit down one-to-one, sit at the computer, go through the reports, explain things. Questions can be answered. And like I said, I spent an hour and a half with her on just the revenues and expenses today, trying to understand why the end column has got a negative number, yet 2 columns to the left, it's a positive number. To me, it's a wash, but it's not a wash. It's just understanding how to read the reports. It makes it a lot clearer when you understand that. So I would strongly suggest, if you have the time, please do it, because it really helps to understand some of these financial papers that we have to look at and make decisions.
I would recommend you email her for a good time and day also.
I'm sorry, Holly, I didn't hear
I would recommend you email her for a good time and day that works for her and for you.
Okay.
Rather than just popping in.
Yeah, but she said drop in anytime. When we talked today, she was talking with Don and I, and she said make an appointment or drop in. You know, if she's not busy, she'd be happy to explain or help make us understand the way these financials are read.
Okay, so let me understand the cost to the township then to implement this proposal that Terrell made up. It's just going to cost us the purchase of one computer.
No, it will not. We already have the computer in place.
Okay, great, even better.
So I just wanted to add to Cindy's first comment about the workshops for water and sewer, because Bill, you were making some comments about that water is Lyon Township. It will be coming from Lyon Township. Let's assume that that's going to happen. But there will be an intergovernmental between the two municipalities. So they're going to send a bill, most likely, and we haven't worked out any of these details, to the township, because like the lateral people that Cindy was saying, they can't go get reimbursement from their neighbors. Lyon Township can't enforce those charges in another community. So that's how that usually works, those situations where the township, Lyon Township and Milford Township will have an intergovernmental agreement. Lyon Township will bill Milford Township one cost, and Milford's going to have to figure out how that will be separated. And again, we have to work out a lot of details here. I'm just generalizing enormously right now, but
sooner rather than later.
You're going to need to know about water and sewer.
Well, I think the workshops will be good, but the whole initial premise of both Robertson Brothers, after being sued repeatedly, was that they pay for the water system. The township doesn't go exposed for any of it. And the same with these other two developments that come through. We have to talk a lot. A lot of talk's going on, but I'm not hearing what it is.
Yeah, we haven't even talked to Lyon Township at all yet. So
Waiting for their engineer to set up the meeting.
I'm just explaining procedurally how that arrangement would work if you were inclined to agree to that.
But there's nothing that forces us to to agree with that.
No. A lawsuit, I mean, the judge could find that, but I'm not saying that exposes you to liability, but
And I'm not suggesting that we have anything to do with purchasing water, but what I am saying is if agreement is struck with Lyon Township that services water to that development, like Jennifer explained to me earlier today, that water will probably be metered, but the township of Milford will get the bill, and we're going to have to bill those water and sewer users, just like the village bills us that live in the village for water and sewer. So I think that we need, so what I'm saying is I think that if we sit down and we start asking these questions and saying, well, what about this and how come that, and we don't want to do this, at least we're ahead of the game amongst us.
Okay, that would be great.
Mr. Green, I apologize for interrupting. There is an individual online right now with us, Mr. Nicola Debate, I believe was on my list here as a person to be in the discussion. I wasn't sure how we wanted to handle him.
Is Nick on the line?
His site plan.
Yeah, we may want to just read him back our resolution on Nicola's contracting.
I'll bring his video up now.
Good evening.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick. It's Randy.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I guess appears that I missed check-in or start or the meeting itself.
So I think you checked in after we approved your plan.
Approved it, huh?
So maybe you can read back the motion to him.
I got to get to it just a second.
Okay.
I owe you the agreement, that site agreement.
Yes.
That's okay. It was a condition.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it exact because I have to review it once the meeting's over, but I'll do as best as I can. So it's to approve with the following provision that the applicant must get an updated site maintenance agreement in place with the township noting the same text as the planning commission with the existing vegetation must be maintained as is, and if dies or removed must be replaced and met, and that you need to properly execute the maintenance agreement.
Okay.
Did I get it pretty close, Bill?
Yep,
Yep.
that's good.
As a resident, I wanted to comment about that crossing you guys were talking about over there at the proving grounds, which I have to add just from experience, you know, up in Highland, there's the gravel pit and you got 100, 150 loads of gravel coming south and coming down that hill. And the gravel train loaded is about 165,000 pounds. And when you come down that GM hill, if let's just say there was a light installed at that crossing, there is no way if you put that light to red that truck, if he was on top of that hill, there's no way that truck is going to be able to stop at that light. I just want you guys to consider that when you're doing that planning, because I told my wife, I told my kids, you guys, if you see a truck coming, there's no way that truck's going to stop at that path, at that crossing. So just keep that in mind. Cars are totally different, but the gravel trucks that access that Highland gravel pit and coming through there, and I'm just estimating it, but I bet you I'm pretty close. About 100 to 150 loads a day come down that hill. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you for that. You're right.
It's something that I don't know that a traffic engineer would even understand, but maybe they do. We'll just see. It's a very concerning intersection in the community.
Mhm.
Yes.
So anyways, thank you for your help and
Thank you for your input, Nick.
yeah, it's a scary thought when you're behind the wheel of one of those, you know, and you see those kids coming across, you're just hoping that never happens, you know. But
Thank you.
okay.
So congratulations on your project.
Well, we gotta fund it now. Now I got no more excuses. I gotta fund it now. So we'll make it a beautiful place.
Nothing tonight, just working on election stuff.
Trustee Mazzara.
I just want to acknowledge our Parks and Rec department. We've had 3 movies so far. They've been spectacular. A lot of hard work by the people that put them on, and it's really worked out well. We've had very high attendance there.
That's great.
I got a lot of compliments on your projects there.
So they do a good job.
You do.
Trustee Worrell.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Trustee Wiltsey.
Nothing.
And I have nothing except a lot of stuff I got to do tomorrow. So
Did you ask Randy?
okay.
I was waiting for that. The golden opportunity to say I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. I was looking at all the faces and
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Moved, supported, discussion. One will just say all in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. We're adjourned.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Great
Good
job.
night.
If you want to
Nice to see
get a hold of me,
you.
Don.
Thanks,
Cindy,
Ken.
before you go, you're the one that's gonna set up this water and sewer workshop?